Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let's stand and do the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that.
How come I always say amen at the end?
Huh?
How come I say amen at the end?
I usually just want to go into the 4-H pledge. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, that's something you don't break, that's for sure. So I need a motion to approval of the agenda.
You'll note we added a couple items here this morning. Vacancy and modification to the road restriction.
Okay. Where?
Oh, it's on number 3.
Where the detour is.
One under Rich and one under myself.
Okay, usually
Move
that.
approval with those 2 additions.
Okay, Gary,
Second.
seconded by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. On to the consent items, just our minutes from November 18th and our warrants.
I'll move.
Warren,
Second.
seconded by Paul. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, now on to our issue form. So our medical examiner has was resigned.
Resigned, and I believe Greg and Jim have made arrangements to work with UND for the next person. So we'll probably have that at the next meeting.
Okay, so there's nothing we need, no action today. Okay. And then next is we need to appoint 2 representatives onto the Board of Managers for the Sandhill River watershed. And they had 3 applications.
Only 2 of which I have for the packet. I don't know where the third one is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you got from Sean and Todd, correct?
Those are the incumbents.
No.
Nope.
No.
They
Todd
are.
and Sean.
Craig and Sean are the incumbents.
That's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the one, Mr. Bricky is from that the portion out south and east of the county, and they recommended that he stayed there, but there was some questions about the other person and maybe an attendance issue. Here's how I look at things when it comes to that. And you got a new guy that comes in and he's offering, and the other guy isn't pulling his weight. My feeling is, okay, they did send us all a attendance record, and he had missed 4 of the 12. Yeah, and
Is he somebody that goes south for?
no, I don't know that for sure, I guess.
No, I don't think so.
But this new guy, he came to me requesting, and I says, you just have to apply, and he's very interested. I know he's very dedicated and that kind of thing. So I'm always in the position to see if a new person gets it, but they did not request to reappoint. They requested to reappoint the 2 that were there, and the new guy, no. To me, I don't look at it that way. I see, and Joan, you were there, and I just like to, when new blood offers and they're willing to stand for it, then that's what I look at. So
Paul Engel said that's the guy that just came on the water district.
that would be his brother.
What's his
guy.
brother? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, the one on the water district, what's the first name on that one?
The water district is Paul. This is Craig.
Okay.
Yeah, and on this advisory council committee, I represent the ag community. That's why I'm on it.
Okay. Well, what do you recommend?
Well, my gut is telling me to approve or do Sean for as their request because he's the only one requesting in that area and give the new guy a chance. So A and C, so Sean Berkey and Todd Peterson.
Just for clarification, did you just make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to that.
Okay,
Well, based on your motion, I'll second.
okay, so Paul and
Based on the comments.
Warren have made a motion to appoint Sean Brecky and Todd Peterson to the Sandhill River Watershed Board of Managers. Any other discussion or comments on that?
I am not aware of any of those three individuals, so.
Mhm. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Now on to our regular forum. Gary, you want to start?
I can. I had a meeting at Laurel Library down in Moorhead, at least a week ago. And I had an opportunity to tour the library. It certainly is still under construction. It is a multi-use building. Essential, I think, donated $1 million basically for the loop that goes around the second story of the building.
Okay.
And then there's a large children's center, kind of an all-season type thing. So a lot of things tied together. They hope that to be finished in February, with a celebration of an opening on February 12th. So we'll see how that goes. It did look like a lot of work left to do, but it's fine. We did get another mathematical formula based on the formula regarding what the charges would be, and I can share this with you. I'm sure you'll see it several times, Paul, but it does look like Polk County's contribution may go up if the formula is changed. And what that means, if that means that the communities would be a part of that contribution, that'll all have to be discussed. I encourage them to work on this fairly soon. So if they were going to implement it by 27, I mean, people need to know. So that'll be something we'll hit right away. And then
They are aware that we're switching. I talked to what's her lady? I can't remember her name.
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
The person at the local library
No,
or
no.
Liz?
Liz, that's the lady's name. Yep.
Yeah. And they also had a staff day, and Laura Pearson from Fertile celebrated her number 10th year as a substitute there. So
Awesome.
that's all I have.
Warren?
Not much either. We had a regional transfer, it's some part of the Northwest Regional Development Commission, has to do with transporting elderly people around, that program. I went to that in Thief River on Wednesday, and I should have stayed home. Had absolutely nothing to, that I was involved with. And we have a radio board meeting tomorrow again, and a Pine to Prairie Transforce meeting on Thursday. And the Regional Development Commission has its annual meeting on Saturday at the American Legion in East Grand Forks, and that we got mailings from the Legion saying that they're in financial trouble. They're going to close. They're going to try to sell the building.
Mm-hmm.
They're $50,000 in debt, and nobody wants to give them any money, and they don't even have any money to replenish the liquor supply.
It's hard to sell.
Now, another letter went out. I just received it yesterday. Now they're asking Legion members to make contributions. They call it a loan And that once the building is sold, you get paid back at 5% interest. And, well, it's a mess over there. But they have been assured, Northwest Regional, that their meeting on Saturday will be held as is scheduled and all the services will be there. Kind of wonder what's going on with that organization, but they just have too many square feet for one thing. They got a dance room or auditorium, whatever,
Yeah.
that's monster size.
Yeah.
And to try to maintain that, I'm thinking they ought to sell that part of it because the hardware store next door would take some of the square footage and bail themselves out. But even so, if they can't generate enough business to
Yeah.
pay the bills, they're in trouble.
Mhm.
But if they do sell the building, they would plan to maintain a post in some other quarters. And one of the projects, they have the group that goes out to firing squad that goes out at funerals and such.
Mhm.
That would be maintained along with the baseball program. And, a big item over there.
Same thing
But
happened in
it's
Turtle.
all stuff that we're,
Yeah, that has happened like down in Princeton and stuff too. And actually some of them, they've kind of tried to combine,
mhm,
which, I mean, not everybody is for that because everybody wants to have their own, but it's a way to keep these organizations going and unfortunately, for unfortunate but also fortunate that the attendance of these groups is low, is down, because there's not new members
Yeah.
joining.
Yeah, we just had a fund drive when we had at the last Veterans Day service at school.
Mhm.
mhm,
9 people signed up that had never been signed up before.
mhm,
9 veterans in the crowd. Thought
Mhm.
that was cool.
mhm.
Yeah.
That is.
Mhm.
Well, all of the veterans organizations are having trouble.
Yep.
And of course, the Eagles is another one over in East Grand Forks. I don't know how they stay open, but they limp along.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem there is people are so afraid of having a DUI after they go there and party a bit.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
can be a deterrent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had the West Central Regional Water District meeting on the 24th, and they now have that memorandum of understanding approval from West Marshall Polk Water District. So at least there's something to pass on to the judge now when that hearing is held. And Kevin Nephew, is your appointment, is it?
Yep.
He's on become a member of our district group. And there's they're preparing a mailing. It'll go out to 18,000 people now. So it's an interest survey type of thing. It'll go out in late December, early January. And they'll probably try to have results of that in time to present to the judge whenever that hearing is scheduled.
Yeah, Kevin was one of the reviewers.
Gonna have all of this.
Thanks. He was one of the reviewers, and that went real well. The 3 reviewers were
Mm.
good. It was clarified what their role and everything was, and they were very, very happy to participate in that. Shoot, I had one more thing I was going to say about that, but oh, so I was talking to some folks, and I was approached. When the commissioners are ready to get off, I'll take your spot, she said. I says, well then, that's nice to know that I got somebody who's willing to step in when we can remove from the
Mhm.
active part.
Mhm.
I won't say her name yet until.
Well, yeah, I mentioned we've got a year or more before
Yeah,
that.
that's what I told her. I says there's at least a year. We got to get through the court stuff. So
Mhm.
but I just thought that was interesting. Oh, I'd like to be on that. Okay.
Okay,
Anything
don't know
else?
what you're volunteering for here, but
Is that it?
that's enough.
Okay,
Yes.
Paul.
Of course, the West Central thing that's moving so smoothly. I think, especially now that they've got the Marshall Polk thing taken care of. The meetings are nice and straightforward. We're just waiting for this judge thing or get to the court to get that done. I think that's great. Then I was at the Sand Hill meeting. That was that was good too. A lot of good information there. And they're just plugging along. They're waiting for this reevaluation or this reevaluation of the benefits, how it affects them and how it affects the rest of the county. I had a call, and I forwarded that email to you about the opioid thing. I don't know how to answer that, so. Oh, good. Haven't had time yet, but that'd be great. One, on just a side note, the city of Fertile hired a new nursing home administrator last night. Thought that was great.
Okay,
Um,
everything going well there financially?
well, I think it's not on the upgrade, but at least they're maintaining. It's quite expensive to have the interim, so at least I think this is a good step in the right direction. Once again, after our last meeting, I got several different calls about the, I can't remember what township that is out in Langby, but Columbia Township, yep. So there's still some questions they have, but I explained to them, get the information, see if they can't bring and present to us as a board, rather than just harboring it out and haggling it out in public. Come here and voice your concerns and whatever. So hopefully in the future they'll be calling you to see if they can come to the board. I don't know if they will or not. That's all I got.
Okay. So after our last meeting, I stopped in Mentor at the ditch redetermination, and there was probably between 70 and 80 people that were there. I just kind of got there on the tail end of it, but it sounded like there'd been a lot of good discussion and, a lot of questions. And then I had household hazardous waste, just kind of overviewing how the years went. And the person we had working during the summer is interested in coming back next summer again, and she actually has been working a little bit since she started school, kind of whenever she can work it in with her classes. And then I had our shack coffee communication and consideration. I started that off. It was on cannabis, and because that just continues to be a moving target, and for counties and public health to try and keep up with it is a real challenge. And then I started that meeting when I was in Fertile for the advisory council, and then when I went back home, then I stopped at the Soil and Water district meeting, and they were, now with the government open again, they were able to take care of the cover crop payments and stuff that they were holding off on. And one thing that they're kind of concerned about, and it's coming up quickly, is the paid family leave and what that means for them and how that'll be handled. Then I had Wild Rice Marsh, One Watershed, One Plan. Spent a lot of discussion on the grants that we've received so far and how the time that we have to spend them, what we have excuse me, left on them. And I think that the soil and water districts and the Wild Rice Marsh watershed are doing a really good job of finding the projects and to getting them prepared and done. But I did ask a question of at some point, is it going to be hard to find projects, for this money. And, a couple of the soil and water people said, yeah, because, you need landowner buy-in, and, you're probably going to get to a point of where, there's really no one left that wants to, do these things that they're offering and stuff. So, be interesting to see how this goes forward, in the future. Had intercounty, and we had a personnel meeting before a regular meeting, and we voted. We usually follow the Social Security COLA amount that they set, which was 2.8%. And then we did, they also do a merit, and that is up to 50 cents. We kept that the same. And then during our regular meeting, I was reelected as secretary treasurer. And the holiday train will be stopping in Plummer on December 16th, about 6:30. It's always, fun. The kids really look forward to that. And then it's always a good fundraiser for the food shelves. And then I also was on a meeting with, it was kind of comprised of people in social services, public health, school districts, and we also had the resource officer from East Grand Forks on, just talking about our region is the only one in the state that does not have a level 4 facility for kids, which is for those that have that higher issue of mental health or, addiction issues, those type of things. And, the schools, because we, we kind of talked a lot about what's going on in East Grand Forks, and that's only one school district, in our county, and then of all the other school districts in our region. And the time that staff, are having to spend with kids, that are disruptive. And, they've got a lot of instances where there's disruption, but, a lot of them are only being created by a handful of kids, so it's not a real as widespread, it's more, cornered into just a few kids. But, looking at what we can do going forward, working with the legislature, and I don't know, the chance of getting funding, from them is going forward. But, it's an issue that, we've been talking about it for so long, but it's at the point of where things need to be done. And, and trying to figure out exactly what that is. And that was the same thing like with the AMC mental health committee that I was on. It's, we've talked about it, it's been studied, it's now is the time to move forward on it. And I'll actually be presenting at the AMC annual conference on that AMC committee. So, and then I had a phone call in regards to road condition that I forwarded on to Rich. And I think that's it for me.
What was the time of the holiday train?
6:30.
6:30.
Yep, on the 16th.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, Levi.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Levi. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. It's cold out there. But what I got today here is a quote to replace the existing NVR, that's just a network video recorder for all the security cameras around the county. The quote also includes professional services for assistance with setting up and migration. The one thing I'll note, it is in the current year budget, but I only had 26,000 budgeted, so it is a bit over what was budgeted. So it's almost 13,000 over. And it just has to do with where hardware prices are now. Everything's just going up. But I got the quote and everything here. I just am looking for a motion and action to approve the SHI quote for $39,015.50 to replace the current NVR.
That's valuable equipment.
It is, yep. So we get about 60 days of recording for the cameras in the county. So
Mhm.
I hate to admit it, I have to use that quite frequently to look at things. So.
So moved.
Gary,
Second.
Yep.
Gary and Warren. Any discussion? So now you said this is like 13,000 higher than what you had budgeted for 26, correct? Or was it for 25?
25.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Carried.
all right, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome. Keep up the good work.
Sam?
I think Sam. Pretty thin. I think he's thinner than I am. I was talking to myself. Oh, that's funny. That's funnier.
As thin as I was before Thanksgiving.
Sure. All right, so the first item that I have for you today is to renew the lease between Polk County, University of Minnesota Extension Services, and the City of McIntosh for 2026. The amount has not changed. They reviewed it and did not increase this year like they did last year. So I believe it is right around $8,000 for the year.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve.
I so move.
Paul?
Second.
Warren? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The other one is Levi's fault. I need to request to post and advertise for a clerk typist cashier in the license center. One of ours is moving on to IT department to take a job there. So she's good for her. I'm happy for him.
You didn't do rock, paper, scissors?
No, he can win this one out. It's a loss for us in the license center, but it's good for the employees. So I'm happy for her.
Okay.
But I'm looking for a motion to authorize filling the position in any
I so move.
internal.
Okay. Paul?
Second.
I'll do Gary.
You good?
Warren did the last one. Got to spread it out.
I'm getting tired.
Already?
Oh my goodness, you just started, buddy.
Any other discussion in regards to the vacancy? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
We're going through this. Do you want me to go?
Well, might as well start something anyway.
Sure, I just moved it back up to Sarah.
Yeah, well, I saw that.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so as was mentioned by Warren and Paul, the Marshall Polk Water District did approve, long last, the MOU with West Central Regional Water District, and the Polk County to agree to it. The only minor change really was that I don't think Marshall Polk wanted to feel obligated to report planning directly to West Central, that they wanted to come through here, which totally fine. It had no bearing on how West Central viewed it. But at long last, that is done, and assuming the commissioners approve this, it will end up going to the packet that's going to be in front of the judge here at some point.
In the summary in that number 1 item there, it calls for between the two districts in Bull County to facilitate. It should be facilitate, not facility.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
Spell
sure-
check isn't going to catch that. It's still
No.
spelled right. That didn't sound like a motion, but I agree to
It is,
correct it.
it's motion with that change.
I'll second it.
Okay, Warren and Paul. Any other discussion?
Good progress.
Yeah.
Finally, yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
I'll touch on these budget resolutions. So Sarah made an appearance, but she'll be back.
She's got to finish
'Cause
up some
this may
stuff.
help you a little bit later when Greg comes in. I do this at this meeting each year, the 4 budget resolutions, so that you have an idea of what they look like in order to approve them at the next meeting. That these are not being asked for approval here today, of course. There's 2 budget resolutions. One is the budget itself, and the second is the levy for the budget. Generally, I think I put the levy on the agenda first in case that has to be changed because the budget gets changed. The second one is the commissioners' wages and per diems benefits, and the COLA for commissioners is the same as the employees, 4.5%. And the last one is the non-rep wages. All the represented groups, the union groups, of course, are under contract. 2026 will be the second year for them, but each year the board needs to approve wages for the non-rep groups. So the breakdown of the levy resolution, the total levy, $29,249,178 broken down in these areas. That unless the board wants to change the levy, this is what is going to be presented before you and reviewed later tonight. I did find this, and I realized it's the League of Minnesota Cities. This was on the League of Minnesota Cities website of just what they're seeing around the state. And the proposed levy increase for Polk County is 3%. Of course, we'll go through the details on that, but we're quite a bit lower than what we're seeing around the state for cities and counties. I thought this might be of interest to the board in case anybody raises questions with you. The resolution that adopts the budget is very simple. The budget itself is the summary budget that you've been used to seeing. We'll probably end up coming up with something new next year as we develop Questica a little bit more. But assuming that the board adopts the budget, the chair signs it, we attach it to the resolution, and it's a summary of the budget. We can also, we have also printed out the line by line accounting of the budget. And that sits waiting for anybody that's interested to come into the admin suite. So far, nobody has ever done that except me, because I've had to reference it. The resolution for commissioners points out your salary, your per diems, which remain at $75, and your health insurance contributions, whether you're in the employee plan or presumably on Medicare, getting 2/3 of the contribution the county makes to the employee plan. So those are highlighted. We've got a list of all the types of meetings that we have you putting in for in the past. This can be modified, updated. Just because it's not on here doesn't mean that the commissioner can't ask the board to approve it if they attend something that's county related. But we try to be you kind of have a list of these things, so when staff is doing your expense charges, we know that there's some general approval for it. If you've gone through these every year, we've asked this before. In fact, you can tell when we've removed something because I haven't corrected the spacing. But if you find something that should be changed, just let me know. It doesn't have to be now. It can be any time between now and the next meeting. The wage grid is the basis for the non-reps, actually the basis for all the employees for their wages. It's up to 4.25% from 2025. The administrator, the attorney, and the sheriff are noted independently here. Since those two positions are elected, mine is negotiated, but I'm on the grid. So what I've done is I did move the attorney to what his request was, and I made the prospective changes to the grades for his attorneys, modified the budget for that. I believe it was about $18,000 difference, wasn't huge. As I looked at some of what he was requesting, by the time I got to the grid itself and went through all the positions, we would probably be looking at something like this. So again, it's not necessarily the way I would do it administering the pay plan, but it's not out of line. So those positions for the attorneys just went up one grade. As he requested, his wage becomes what the administrator's wage is. Sheriff goes up 4.25%. The other two positions that we have, or three positions actually, we have one in the budget for the finance department. We haven't really figured out what we're going to do there yet. I think there's $75,000 budgeted, anticipating a July 1 start. So we're going to try to hone in on that a little bit more closely, and that'll end up coming back to the board when we have an actual position drafted up. I think some of that's going to depend on how we progress with ABDO, and we look at where we need to put a professional type position. The two social services department supervisor positions, we've talked a little bit about this at the past meeting. One is an add to the current list of supervisors. The other is a financial assistant supervisor. There have been two vacant positions that have gone unfilled, and I think somebody may have asked, well, we're going to eliminate those positions. Well, we don't have plans to fill them. Eliminating them ends up being a different type of issue that doesn't really fall under this here, but that's more on the labor contract side. So I can talk to you a little bit more about that later if you've got more questions. All three of these positions we have is an April 1st start. They're budgeted that way, essentially 75% cost. Even though I did say July 1, but since we haven't actually pinned down what the position is yet, Stacy and I still have some things to discuss about that. I put it on the earlier date. And like I say, when we actually have the position, they'll come back to the board anyway.
Sure.
I also, because we've kind of discovered we've got some positions getting longevity and some not, that by rolling the rest of the non-reps into the existing longevity wage, we have in all our contracts, and again with about 15 of the non-rep employees, we added that into this. This will end up getting put into the personnel manual and adopted formally that way. But until that gets done, this resolution will suffice. And then we've got the employee contribution plan for the cafeteria plan contribution goes up $250 a month per employee. As it is in the contracts, it's here at $1,850 a month for the composite health insurance premium for the non-rep employees. Just the same plan as the all the non-deputy positions, sergeants, deputies, $1,850 a month, but they're on PEEP, not Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I point this out here in the list of non-represented positions. There's that fiscal assistant supervisor, the social services supervisor position, and then the three attorney positions go up a grade. I did check numbers with Karen because I know there was some concern about more positions in social services, and we have 3 more positions than we did in 2015. So it's not a huge growth, but it's something I think we're aware of and trying to be sensitive to. These 2 changes are on the management side, so trying to manage is really what's behind that. So that's what's coming up. These will be numbered, no draft on them. They'll be on the agenda in 2 weeks, assuming between now and then there aren't more changes. What I did do I did have to make some changes in the overall budget since the last meeting. I'll just touch on these here. We added that cost. Greg had $100,000 in his budget for these wages. It didn't cost that. So I took out the $100,000 to offset the levy, put in the actual numbers. It still was an increase. Ended up correcting, where is it? This number here, no, not that number, this number, 51,000. I think we had 42,000 in there for the man lift. You remember that? Man lift being in the facilities department had the wrong man lift number. The man lift number that was there wouldn't reach the top of the building, so we've got the correct man lift number in there.
Sure.
And then I did kind of round things out. I put about $1,200, almost $1,300 into the commissioner's budget. Joan talked about the NACO conference next year. It's an exact $30,000 change from what you saw last time. Levy stays the same at a 3% increase. The use of fund balance is what changes, and that's That's really the only difference. So when Greg comes in, you'll have the motion to come off the table. We can have discussion about that then. But what you're seeing right now, basically, is what he proposed to you.
I believe Sarah's right.
Okay. Now, if there's any questions, I'm here all day. If you want to go over it later, back tonight, and I'll go into the presentation here towards the end of this meeting. Get back to Sarah here. Anything immediately on any of that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Should be selling tickets.
Didn't know we were so popular, huh?
All right. Good afternoon. We'll get to the best part last. All right. So the first item for today is the out-of-state travel request for Jason Flores, who is our emergency preparedness coordinator, to participate in NACCHO, or the National Association for City and County Health Officials Preparedness Summit in Baltimore in April. And this is part of our Response Sustainability Grant funds and work plan. So just looking for out-of-state travel.
Okay, so need a motion.
I so move.
All
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The second item for today is our opioid settlement fund. And this is a separate fund that's a designated fund from the national settlements that have been coming through since November of 2022. We established an advisory council to work with public health, who's named as the health strategist in the Attorney General's directives for the opioid settlement fund. And so we are closing out on our first RFP process and working towards our second RFP process that we talked about in September. And we put out a request for proposals this fall. And as part of our council, we identified a subset of council members to participate in the review process. So both public health staff and council members reviewed all applications that were received, were pointed, and we considered geography, we considered current and new recipients, we considered the areas of prevention, treatment, and recovery, and we also considered the best practices which are required of us in the MOA and what is fundable. And so we had almost $1 million in requests through this RFP process, which is great that people have interest in this funding and having ideas in terms of how we can work towards prevention, treatment, and recovery and harm reduction. And unfortunately, we have about 500,000 available to us right now. And so we had to make some pretty difficult decisions about what to do. And so the subset of individuals that were part of the review team met with myself and Sarah Shimmick from Public Health, and then presented that to our council last Monday. And there was a motion and a decision to make these recommendations to you today for your consideration. As proposed back in September, the timeline for the second RFP is slightly different than the first RFP, being on a calendar year versus a split year. And that part of that is how the reporting is done to the state. It makes it cleaner that way as well. And so you can see here all of the priorities were considered. We used a scoring rubric with our application review team. It was presented last week at our meeting. And these are the applicants that we bring and recommend to you. It is 12 of the 14 applications. And the recommended funding is, for the most part, partial funding for what was presented to us. There was some activities that were not fundable, and there was portions of applications that have a lot of promise or have seen a lot of success, and so we wanted to be able to fund those at the capacity that we could, but also trying to get reach and impact across the areas of prevention, treatment, recovery, and harm reduction. And this was the way that we felt we could best do that with the funding that was currently available. So before you, you see the applicants on the left-hand side, the recommended funding amounts. Of course, we will negotiate with the entities if they choose not to participate based on what was funded. That would be their decision, of course. And then you can see on the far right the project summary that was proposed and the variety of services that are to be supported for Polk County residents. One of the other elements of the rubric was ensuring that it will be beneficial to the residents of Polk County directly. And so that was something we all looked for in our as part of our rubric. Keeping it closest to home. So we've got Tri-County Community Corrections, Aluma Incorporated, Karen Sheriff Crookston, Tri-Valley Opportunity Council, which is specifically for the family resource centers across the county, Riverview Recovery Center, Recovery Partners Incorporated for their Hope Work Network, and Recovery Partners Incorporated for Northwest Minnesota Center for Hope. Those are two located in eastern Polk County for that reference. Crookston Secondary High School, which is grades 6 through 12, KROX Radio, New Heights Elementary in East Grand Forks, Magnuson Elementary, and the Foston High School in Foston, bringing us to the $500,000 mark. And then below that is similar to the prior year. If advisory council members are not part of the council and affiliated with another entity, we do make a stipend available for them and related mileage. So this is just acknowledging that there's the potential for that if they meet the criteria. And then the public health roles and responsibilities that are in our 2026 budget and related priorities of the council that we are doing on behalf of the council. So that is all in totality.
Of the 14 folks that applied, then the 2 that didn't receive, were they notified?
They have not been notified yet because I needed to bring it here.
Okay.
We have a letter prepared for them, which will go out today or tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so looking for a motion to approve all these projects as presented for the opioid funding.
So moved.
Got a total of 500,000, is that where I see that number?
Yes, 500,000, which makes up all of these.
Yeah, okay. There's some money left over yet, is there?
Yes, correct. Yes. Right up here is the whole big picture. Our settlement receipts, the interest that we just recently got brings it to this total. We have this cash balance. There is some pending payments because the current RFP is not done yet, and many of our partners do quarterly billing. And so, yes, there will still be funding available.
I'm seconding the motion, by the way.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm-
Any other discussion or questions?
Well, I appreciate seeing a group here that's involved with that because there's so many questions regarding about fraud in Minnesota. When dollars are sent out, where do they go? Are they real people? And it's good to see that you're putting that much work into it and
Thank you.
doing it very well.
And
Appreciate it.
And I think also just the pointed path of community members, people with lived experiences. That's something that you can't replicate.
Yes, we have very diverse representation on our council, and I think it's what makes it successful. The folks that were reviewing the applications all come from a variety of backgrounds and lived experiences, and I think it brings the best product forward for all of us here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. All right. The last and perhaps most exciting, although the opioid settlement funds are very exciting as well. The next item on our agenda is probably my most favorite thing that we do every year here, which is appoint our youth advisory board members. And we started this back a number of years ago. And essentially, we provide our best service when we're well informed and when we're working with and in our community. And so the Youth Advisory Board provides an avenue for us to engage with students from across Polk County. And it gives them an opportunity to get involved in governmental public health, which I think is really exciting. Also for them to consider healthcare or government or sort of that combination of things as they think about careers that they might be interested in. And certainly the importance of civic engagement. We were talking about that out in the hallway, and want them to continue to develop leadership skills to represent themselves and their communities and our counties as they go forth on their way into adulthood. So I'm so happy to recommend the following students for appointment to our Youth Advisory Board. Before you will see here new members, which is the top list of students, and then returning members, which are the students that we brought onto the board last year. So for the purposes of today, we'll be recognizing the new members. There's a couple that weren't able to be here, but we will certainly honor and recognize them now as well. And then if we can do a photo when we're done. Does that sound okay? Would you mind presenting these as I do them? That would be great. Okay, so the first one is Clara Colden and Skylar Benson. And Leah Johannick. Julia Aker. Thank you. Abigail Seed. Kinley Corinta. Mackenzie Quirk. Emily Reitmeyer. And I believe Lauren is gone, but I'm just double checking to be sure. Lauren Erickson, correct? Lauren's not able to be here? Okay, great. Thank you. If all of you want to come on up. So I would be looking for a motion to appoint these fine folks in front of you to our Youth Advisory Board.
Okay, so I need a motion.
Yes, motion first. Let's make her
I so moved.
official.
Paul?
Well, I'll second that.
Wake me up.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Sir, you getting in?
Yep, come
Yep.
in.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thanks much.
Congratulations, guys.
Appreciate your time today. All right. Thank you.
Sarah,
Yes.
a question I know with the opioid. I know it's an open-end thing, but like, are you seeing the amounts being decreased like we thought were going to happen, or?
It's been very random and sporadic.
Mhm,
There's been no consistency.
yeah,
But I haven't seen, I don't know that I had a vision of what they would be or what that cadence would be.
mhm,
So they're coming in, but
mhm. Yeah, 'cause
not
then-
with regularity,
yeah, because then I know too that they were,
which makes planning very difficult.
yeah, yeah. But then, I mean, there's new, cases that are being solved all the time too. So
Yes,
then,
absolutely. Yes, it's a revolving door,
Mhm.
really. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Yes.
I have one question too.
Sure.
So, I've noticed out there that there's a mailing out there in regards to, and it comes from Polk County Public Health. And it says that our records show you may be missing adult shots recommended by the CDC. My question is, how do they know that you might be missing shots? That's my first question.
I don't know which mail. I mean, we have a lot of mailings, so I don't know which mailing you're talking about.
I don't want to present it as an official
Yeah,
document.
yeah.
I'll go get it. Warren gave me his, I got it at home too, so I don't know if it just went to elder statesman types.
It went to someone older in my household.
Oh, I don't know anything about it.
And then my second part is, it says that this postcard is sent to you by your health department. Financially supported for this communication has been provided by Pfizer. No patient public information has been or will be provided to Pfizer. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, that we're taking funds to send a mailing from a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, I am not. I know that there was some partnerships that were being done to provide notifications,
Mhm.
but I don't specifically know about that particular one. I'm happy to look
I
into
can
it.
give you this one.
Yeah, yeah,
And I can give it to you outside, I think,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be a public record.
Correct.
yeah. That's fine.
I think it's something we should look into because that was mildly disturbing to me.
Yeah.
Because
There is a lot of-
somebody's representing us. that
Well,
we
there is
haven't
a lot
approved.
of immunization reminder recalls that happen. That's a common thing. Just like if you need a
Mhm.
checkup for your eyes or for your whatever. And so in the past, we have had agreements, like because we're required to do, like for children on medical assistance, to let them know that they have vaccines due, that they have dental visits due, that they have, what have you.
Oh, I
but-
don't need to give you mine.
But I am not, I don't know.
Just
I
look
will-
it through.
Yeah.
To me, it
And
was.
there's lots of things in our department that go through the folks that work in that space. So I'll do a little digging.
On that same mailing, it tells you to call the public health office, but there's no telephone number, there's
Yeah.
nothing about how
My
to
biggest thing
do
is
it.
that
Yeah.
how do they know that what my records say or what anybody records say?
Yeah.
They find that information or they just say it and they send it out to everybody. To me, that's disturbing.
That I can't answer.
I
But I'll
I don't know
definitely
if you'll
answer.
ever find an answer, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's got to be from somewhere. Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
got to be coming from somewhere.
thank
So I'll check it out.
All right, thank you.
Check it out. Yes.
I knew
thanks
you
for
would.
ask- Thanks for asking.
Mhm.
Thank you
Appreciate
for the awarding all those kids.
Yes.
That's huge
absolutely.
stuff. I love
Yes.
it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Rich.
Sorry, I took up some extra time there. Sorry.
You're good. One for each of you that way. There's one for Mr. Will Height. Got it. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay. First, so MnDOT closed their Trunk Highway 75 bridge just north of Climax, or in Climax, however you want to put it. And so they are detouring traffic on our county state highway 45, east or west of 220 and then back south.
for 75 and up to 20 and back to 75 for northbound. And so what you have in front of you is a draft agreement. It takes a while for the district to put everything together, send it down to CO. CO reviews it and okays it, sends it back for our signature. So just so you know, my guess is it's not going to change. And if it does change, it's not going to change a whole lot to where it's going to make a difference on approving or not approving. So we have agreement 1061851 with MnDOT for them to detour traffic on the South 45. They're going to pay us $22,694 to do so. And when the final agreement comes, I will bring it up for signature by the board chair and the administrator to sign at that point. But if we could approve it, so at that time I can get signatures and not have to wait for another board meeting, that'd be great. And then you also have a resolution. Let's see if they, well, that's the resolution. You didn't, I don't know what resolution number it's going to be. Usually Ashley puts it in there for.
I can do it, but I didn't do it for the meeting.
Okay, so you're going to pass this resolution as well. And admin will add the resolution number when the time comes for when they're printing them out. So that's the two motions. I need one to approve the agreement, have the administrator and board chair sign that when it comes, and one to approve the resolution.
What happened to the bridge? Might I ask?
Well, as you noticed on 75, you have that big hump coming down the hill, so that whole hill's continuing to slide.
Oh,
So the bridge is moving off to the south, and they don't feel that it can carry the weight needed for a trunk highway,
sure.
and therefore they're closing it and trying to find funds to replace the bridge.
Sounds good.
You have to replace the whole bridge rather than just some piers or whatever.
I would say that would make sense to me.
Well, yeah, because the existing bridge isn't set up for the soils that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too short, too low.
Probably was put in about 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah,
Before your time.
maybe a little bit.
So is this MnDOT's responsibility then?
Yes.
This bridge?
Yeah, that's all their cost.
Okay.
We don't have anything to do with it, other than we're helping the township with all their people not taking the detour and driving on their
Sure.
roads, trying to keep them off their roads. So
I've been through this.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move then for the first part.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so Paul and Warren, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. And then we need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Gary
Second.
and Warren, any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so we have the 2026 tractor rental rates. Went up from $19 an hour to $25 per hour. We're leasing one for the winter, plus the ones we'll be leasing for summer mowing. So I need approval to award the rental rates to Valley Plains Equipment of Crookston, Minnesota, $25 per hour.
$6 in 1 year. What's the deal? I'm just asking.
Tractors are going up.
Right.
So
Yes, they are. Okay, so I need a motion.
Yes, so.
Paul,
Second.
seconded by Gary. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So the last thing is every year we do a road restriction map for during road restrictions, plus if there are any roads that are posted longer than that. So with the detour happening on 45, people are driving all over the place north of Climax, and semis are using all the gravel roads as well. So Vineland Township contacted MnDOT. MnDOT went out and put up 5-ton signs on the roads in red to the best of my knowledge. And from what I was told by the chair of Vineland Township. So we're just basically approving what they've already approved so that it can be part of our, we'll revise the 25 road restriction map and then we'll add it to the 26 road restriction map for when it gets approved. So I don't know if we need to, but it helps when it comes to enforcing that there's actually been an approval and it went through the process.
Okay. Okay, so need a motion for change.
I'll move it.
Warren
Second.
and Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do they have a timeline for it, the bridge?
Their timeline or my timeline?
Either or both.
My guess, earliest, if it was our bridge, with all the process they're gonna have to go through to get a plan done
Mm-hmm.
and then find funding, I'm guessing fall of 27, but right now they just have it through fall of 26 for the detour, so we'll wait, and that would be really fast if they could get it done.
Okay, so that 22,000 plus covers 26 this
25,
year.
25 and 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then if it
So it's
extends-
based on the number of days that they figure the road's gonna be closed and the traffic's gonna be detoured. If it extends, then we'll work with MinDOT to get extra funds beyond that.
Okay.
So,
They'll stay in the same alignment.
well, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, so it's pretty straight through there. They're not gonna
Yeah.
change the alignment.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding from talking to somebody that the railroad bridge is having the same issue. So
Hmm.
it's what happens when you build on a river.
Yeah.
They have more money than we do, though.
Minnesota Northern doesn't have more money than we do. So maybe not. I'm guessing not.
You got 27 taken care of?
I don't know. Did we? Did you get a call saying it was taken care of?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I forwarded it to the people that would take care of it, and hopefully, if there was issues, they did.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm still waiting on your PowerPoint presentation for the
Okay.
land surveyor.
Mhm.
He made some corrections to it and he told me today that it was finalized so that we would be able to get a copy of it. So,
Okay, sounds good.
anything else? Thank you.
Yep. See you later. If anybody was wondering, coffee is brewing.
Hey.
I mean, if Warren's fallen asleep already, that's. Okay, so next up is Greg. First off, we need a motion to remove the tabled item off the table.
So move.
Warren
Second.
and Gary. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
And that means my motion's still on the table then. From last time. Or not? Do we have to redo it?
You remember.
I think if it's tabled,
It was tabled, but it doesn't take it away. So it's the existing stays. My existing motion. Okay, just making sure.
Do you have his existing motion? Yeah, the motion was made by Commissioner Reese, seconded by Commissioner Lee to approve the proposed salary changes for the county
Okay, I
attorney and
remember that.
assistant county attorney positions.
Okay, yeah, because I had seconded to get it for discussion.
Discussion, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got that motion made by Paul and I seconded it. So any discussion, comments?
My opinion hasn't changed.
No comments?
No, I think the information that was
yeah, I
put
made my,
forth is
Good.
acceptable.
Okay. So then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for being patient.
Yep.
Okay. We have our finance director in here with us.
Okay, didn't even see that young lady.
She will be probably part of all future budget. You wanna come up or you wanna?
Come on and join us.
Come on up.
Come on.
Do you want my comfortable chair?
No, it's too
Sorry.
high.
Well, there's one over here too. Well, we got ahead of ourselves a little bit when I went through what
lot.
I did, balance the budget.
Okay.
With, yeah, that's right. But, I don't know if there's any follow-up questions to that. Otherwise I can run through the presentation for tonight's public hearing. Do you want to say anything about the budget?
It's Chuck's budget.
Oh, pass the
I
book.
didn't do it.
No. So, no, not at this time, I don't think. Still learning the process and just a lot of kind of following Chuck's process for now, because I haven't had enough time to really delve into this presentation and the public hearing and some of those and how it's been done in the past versus where we want to kind of eventually go to. So I think it's a good budget though. I mean, I feel like everything's in Questica. I think the staffing went better. Well,
Yeah, we've
I think there's improvements there.
so the behind the scenes,
Mhm.
just the management of the information and the process. With Questica, we had to link it up with the department heads used Questica for data input.
Mhm.
There's also now a link between IFS and Questica, so we can regularly update actual year-to-dates in Questica. And she'll end up going through that more with the department heads here shortly. So that was being done at the same time departments were working on their budgets. As we went through and as we discussed a few times, one of the big differences for department heads, they didn't have to put in any personnel information. That all uploaded into Questica from Kronos, correct?
The data for the most part was Kronos and what current staffing levels were, a combination of that and where, requests just showing up where everybody was at. So that really is as of probably August, the staffing projections. Because once we put it in there, we kind of had to lock in, otherwise you can kind of keep tweaking it. And then we'll do regular, the key will be keeping that, making adjustments as, so Questic will take in a department, say, all the positions. So it's really more position based, using my words here. It's position based, so we've built all the positions in the system, and then we've assigned employees that we knew were in those positions as of that point in time. It then takes those positions, so if they're on step 3, like the whole wage grid is loaded in there, everything is in there, and all their step dates. So it will automatically assume if they move 2 steps next year, it'll make an assumption on those steps. So then the wages automatically calculate. So it takes a lot of that heavy lift, but there's an assumption there. And then it's just a matter of making sure all the positions are accounted for. And then if we have open positions, we put a baseline assumption of what those wages, entry wage is going to be. And then all the benefits are in there. So the health information is there. And then we can load out 3 to 4 years, so we can project out several years just based on updating the wage grid, which is going to be really nice. Then for next year, a lot of the heavy lift is done.
Well, that's very convenient.
Yeah,
For y'all?
it'll still take, there's still gonna be a shore up of, if somebody moves a position or promotions, there's still gonna be some of those. It's not just once you're done and you don't have to look back at it, but the heavy lift is done of getting that in there.
It also improves the accuracy of
Yeah.
the data.
Mm-hmm.
You think about a department head attempting to take the grid, their employees, trying to figure out to the day when they increase a step, for instance, what that costs. That itself is a lot of calculations.
But
I-
this will be done
It's
I hate to
there.
use that word automatic, but it will be there.
It's far more automated.
There you go. That's the word.
Because much of what we had to do is, if you're going to do a budget with the departments, they would typically start June, July. They have to give us data. So they've been working on all this personnel data. Well, by November, we already know a lot of it's changed because people come, people go. So we have to double check it, which means somebody else, which was Randy Beggs, Sherry Sheppy, and Ron would end up with this massive spreadsheet based on the most up-to-date information on personnel we could have in late October, early November, and then reconcile that with what is already showing up in the budget. And I'd sit down with Ron, and there'd be six-figure differences between what had been put in there and where we were at with that spreadsheet. The idea was, well, you want it correct, but when I'm getting down to the end of the budget, $5,000, $10,000 difference makes a difference in trying to hit a levy target. Well, you start talking large amounts like that. It's a little unnerving to be sitting there at that point in the game after you've been working on the budget, realizing that your department might be off a couple $100,000 based on how somebody who really doesn't do that work had to calculate all this stuff out. If you think about it, the data ought to be coming from finance.
Correct.
It just should, and at least we know that when it does, it'll be Stacy's fault.
Well, or we'll have to, because part of the process is really kind of doing the look back. Once you get it, a year from now, we're going to do the look back of, well, are we on target? Did we miss targets? Where did we miss? Because that helps you refine next year and get it better. So this is year one. The other thing that's nice is it does kind of snapshot it. So in the process, as we move it in the background, as we move it from, this was the department head entry, this was my review entry, it keeps all of those numbers every time we change something. And then next year, it's a matter of we can roll forward what's there, and then a lot of the documentation, the attachments and things like that will already be there. So you can take the number and put a modifier in there to project it out. You can just manipulate it easier. So it's there.
We've shown you in Questica. I can call it up here if you're still that interested. But I mean, like she says, you can actually just put the supporting information right into the budget, and it's there electronically. Anybody can look at it. It's helped me in going through departments. What was in there? Why was it in there? I don't have to keep. My 3-ring binder is already half the thickness that it used to be, and next year at some point it's not going to exist. It's just a habit right now. But Questica, this is a report from Questica, which is basically the variation of this. In fact, I used this to fill out these numbers, revenues, expenditures, and it all tied out. So the advantage of this prior spreadsheet is that I could manipulate this to work into the levy, and that's how you end up having the use of fund balance. we're talking more about how we're doing things, but
Yep.
a lot of that was how much time and effort Stacy and with Abdo's support was going into getting Questica up and going. Because we did that particularly with the personnel data, the next logical thing is to move over payroll, which is even more time consuming and in need of precision, accuracy, because we're actually going to be using it for paychecks. We're on target for about the payroll next month. Should be our first one in the UKG product. We've already taken Paymate. So Paymate is off the AS400.
No, Paymate's still in the AS400 because we're not moving it.
Okay.
There's no point in moving it.
Well, we're not going to use it very
No,
long.
we're not going to use it. Very
We got to
long,
get
so-
through 2025 taxes, but it won't be doing payroll.
No, we'll be done. 2 more payrolls and we're done. And
So
then W4 or W2s and then we're done.
yeah, I think, so behind the scenes, even though there's the construction of the budget, which we can go into, the work to do these transitions has been fairly preoccupying for Stacy as the new finance director. But these changes have to get done and so forth. I will say that going back to the budget, you know, the basics of the budget didn't change much. The use of fund balance, I think, is something that we're going to end up looking into more deeply in 2026, including a policy on how and when and how much to use long term. And then we work back with reality. We're healthy enough. Well, this is a large amount, and it's more than I don't want to think about it too much. It'll keep me up at night. I think we're okay. She thinks we're okay. Next year, we don't have that levy for the going to the jail bonds. So I think the timing is right. And but I do think, and I have thought for quite some time, that our ability to manage our funds more precisely, more accurately, will lead to some efficiencies in these budgets. The push on the budget, 4 months ago, presumably was the 4.25 COLAs and the increase in benefits. But probably the one that is least controllable was the increase for Tri-County Community Corrections. There's no subtle way of dealing with a straight up levy increase that is required of us for that. And that was $464,000. That's more than half of what we typically increase for the entire county. So I think we're transitioning from something to something, and this is the last budget you're going to see that we're transitioning from. But I don't think that levy demand is going to change into the future for Tri-County.
I don't either.
Yeah. So I'm going to where's my mouse? I can't find it. There it is. I want to oh shoot, I got the wrong one. I want to open this. I want to just run through the actual presentation. You saw some of it last time. It's good rehearsal for me for 3 hours from now. Yes.
Privileged.
Yeah, I better keep my whistle wet here.
It's dry.
Yeah, it is. So we'll go through this at 6. The overall budget is just over $73.5 million. This number does not include solid waste. And we're gonna have to bring those numbers into you at the next meeting. They're not levy dependent. So they're not really tied into the levy resolutions and so forth.
But going forward, will they be included or still because they're,
I think, well, if you go back to my, gone out of it, you go back to this sheet. You used to have a fourth page on there that would show all the other funds, the minor funds that aren't levy dependent. But the last two were solid waste, incinerator, recycling, that kind of thing, which is very large. We've never spent a lot of time on it at the budget time unless there's a significant project, bonding involved, personnel changes. Because as an enterprise, you probably do it at any time, not just here. But we should, I think, have something that we're adopting as part of the budget. And I think we'll have something for 2 weeks from now. There's that levy amount. We say net of county program aid. County program aid is on top of that, but as we've historically done, the gross levy includes the county program aid, assuming county program aid is there to reduce the levy. Budgeted revenues, non-levy revenues, just over $43 million. About $4.9 million of reserves to reduce the levy further. County program aid did decrease from the state by almost $68,000. I don't know why, but it did. So that total levy is up $852,000, and at exactly 3%. If you take out the debt levy, so it kind of reduces the size of the budget a little bit. The non-debt levy increase is $1.167 million, or increase of 4.4%. As our debt levy decreases, that'll go down, but we'll see it balanced. Preliminary levy, as you recall, was 5%. Final levy 3%. There's that number again.
wasn't the prelim 4.5?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I'll have to correct that. Okay.
Yeah, I was questioning that too. It's 3.5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I am. I got that wrong. Okay. I'll have to double check that. The overall equalized value, market value for the county went up 3.4%. It's now just over $8.8 billion. Enbridge itself increased over $28 million in value and is 2.2% of the total county valuation. It's our biggest valued valuation property and our biggest taxpayer. We've got the middle year of the 3-year collective bargaining agreements with the cost of living increase of 4.25%. Our health insurance with Blue Cross Blue Shield next year is capped at a 15.8% increase, and of course that's what the increase becomes. We know what the cap is for 2027, 14.9%. And I think we're going to need to spend some time next year studying what our options are going to be going into 2028. So we're gonna need to negotiate in 2027. So we got a lot of homework to do. The employee benefit contribution per the contracts, per the non-rep resolution, up $250 a month to $18.50 a month. And then the tri-county levy increase just under $465,000. There's just no way around that one. You can't use we don't have anything to offset it with. It's just straight up levies. You got to offset it everywhere else. The two social services supervisory positions were added in. I mentioned that we have a couple of vacancies that we haven't filled, and we don't have them filled for 2026. So objectives for next year, we still have continued development of the financial processes, coordination with all the related finance practices that we have, and the improvements yet to be made. I don't have it on here, but specifically we've got to figure out something on asset accounting and management. Some of that's going to end up getting into software, so we've got a lot of work yet to do. Too soon to stop using Abdo, but as is the case for 2025, we don't have anything specifically budgeted for that. I'll kind of see some things. I know with Stacy on board now, we can see where this is going to modify. I think after payroll, after first of the year, we keep talking about when we get through this payroll, get through
Payroll monkey.
that suddenly we're going to have the ability to sit back and figure out the next steps. The payroll thing is really huge right now.
So Abdo could be here for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year.
Yeah,
And we have the luxury of picking and choosing, right? Or do we have to give them a notice?
I think our notice to them is we don't want you to do this anymore. We don't want to use you for this anymore.
Okay.
You know, we've been technically we still have a net as the interim finance director, but we've got a finance director now. So they're still working together, and we can go through more particulars on.
Just
so today you were working on the cash register in there, and I can imagine what that was about. But
New software.
yeah, I mean it's everything gets rolled out, and then it's making sure we got the right practices.
We still need them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
We've bitten off a lot, and we haven't had a lot of regression. You know, sometimes you get into some new software, you get to a point, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you know, this isn't working, and you're stumbling around for a while. I think we've been concise enough, precise enough, where it may not be going as fast as we like, but it's not standing still. It's not going backwards.
And they apparently have been helping us in the process.
Yeah,
Oh, very much so.
We would not be
So
where
we
we are
don't
right
we
now
don't
without them.
want to rush them out of the picture either.
No,
no.
I still lean on.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we're not dependent on them.
Yes, I understand that.
But it you know, we're talking about the biggest organizational change you can make. It's so deep, and there's so many aspects to it, but it'll start moving on its own at some point. The next steps will be natural. I'll use it as an example. A year and a half ago, we bought the GovAP software, which I didn't really want to do because it's a standalone voucher processing thing. But we weren't getting anywhere. And the amount of work some staff were putting into just coding and on paper, and literally stacks of paper. Well, now we've been using it, and we're using it well enough where we've run up against the limitations of that software. You know, I think everybody is kind of used to it, but, we've had some bills that can't process fast enough because it's not powerful enough. There's still some work that has to be done, even though it's being done that way. And it's not part of anything. It's usable. It's better than before, but now we're here instead of where we were. But we're ready for the next step. But we have to have the next one to go to. And that gets into the whole asset management, the purchasing,
Well, I know,
System.
she's only been on the job, what, 6, 7, 8 months?
6.
6 months? I'd
It
sure
seems
like to,
eight.
yeah, I'd sure like to see her get to a point where she can take some vacay.
well, I've told her, don't stop doing family things and personal things just because we got where we are. We're doing things we hadn't done before. So
It's just so you're aware of that. I just hate to see somebody
Yeah.
so dedicated that they don't do anything and it's just locked in for month after month after month after month. But when are you going to say no? When are you going to be able to? You still have a life. That's what I'm getting at. So
Yeah. No,
Well-
I took last weekend off, and I took a 4-day week the week before, 3-day week.
wow.
I'm impressed.
well, I want to say I know what I got.
Yeah.
I got a damn good thing right here,
Yeah.
and I need her to. The excitement of change is one way of doing this. I mean, you get a chance to do things that you never really do. You may learn how somebody else does it when you're new, but you don't get the opportunity to change it. I'm completing my 41st year. I've never been through a finance software change. I really wanted to do one. Still don't really want to, but it has to be done. And you can start seeing if you can do it the right way, with the right people or the right training for the people you have, the right software, how much more productive, efficient, informative it all is. And some of the things that we've been doing, we literally didn't have to do them. And there's things that we should have been doing that we never did because I don't think anybody knew we had to do them. Nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. But
Just
we're
so
not.
you make sure she gets.
Yeah.
I
Give me
will. I won't burn
make sure you get a Paul Reese every once in a while.
I won't burn out. We can't get there fast enough, so I have to remember that I have to just slow down.
The motivation is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's just all the things I'm not getting too fast enough, emails and things like that. That just it's the things that crop up that you just go,
Yeah. But I mean,
we're getting there.
but to me, I mean, this is just, I mean, it's exciting that we're actually, we're moving down the road. I mean, we've talked about this for how many years? And, it just, and I've always thought that we could do a heck of a lot better than we were doing. I mean, for some of the things, there was no reason for why we did them.
Right. And even just in the last 3 weeks, I think Chuck and I've had conversations. I'm getting a little more clarity of probably maybe where we need to go and what that looks like. And it's a matter of, do you move the system, prioritize the system, and get the system replaced faster? Because sometimes you can't make the change until you have a force it, and the only way to do that is the software, which is not ideal.
Right.
But
and it's not just that. I mean, our finance department is in a good place, but for some of the things like with vouchers, what our department heads were required to do, the time that it took them, it's like that could have been used on something more efficient, than it was.
I'm looking forward to in the future the investment services develop what you have got there. My only question to that is, how much of that can you use? Can you only use interest? Can you? I don't know that answer.
investment. So we're gonna Monday or when? What day are we? Tuesday. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we do our first investment, and we're gonna take 3.8 million, and we're gonna invest it for probably a year. Part of it for a year, and part of it for 24 months, and it depends on whether we set it up which investment we choose will determine whether we get the investment interest monthly, quarterly, or annually. And then that will
Good
go,
answer.
that will go into offset. If it's annually, we'll get interest at the end of next year at this time of the year. This time next year, we'll be getting the interest, and it'll go into our general fund, or allocated out actually probably across the departments. But we're just going to start small, and then in a month from now, we'll do a little bit more because we need some work on cash flows
Yes.
so that we're projecting out because we don't want to run ourselves out of money by investing too much and not have any liquidity. But yeah, so we're starting to shave it off, but there's quite a bit I think that we can invest in. So I'm excited about that, but we do that tomorrow.
So,
Get that going.
you know, even with the investment, I mean, the accounts are still going to be liquid. I mean, or
It'll
no?
be locked in probably like a certificate of deposit or
Yep.
something. It'll be locked up. So no, once
Okay.
I lock it, it's locked up.
Okay.
I think there might be some that we can, but again, I don't want to pay penalty. I don't want to lose interest on it. So we're being very careful
Okay.
of projecting out where we need, what we have,
Right.
what we need to pay out. Because there's those low months where cash flow doesn't come in. So we want to make sure we can get through those months. So it's just projecting out and, kind of part of not being able to do as much with the budget as I had wanted to is just that time and effort of making sure we know how to project cash flows.
Right. Yeah.
And not get too lean. But
That's something we've never had,
we'll just
right?
start
Nope.
shaving off.
Well,
Well, we've invested,
We've been
but
invested, but
yeah, we
But it,
yeah,
hopefully, yeah. And we want to do it before the rates start dipping.
Mhm.
So,
more.
I
Sounds good.
think what we'll develop here in 2026 is a schedule. She's coming in. Here's this financial report. Here's your investment report. Here's what have you, and just kind of have it as part of the annual cycle. So that you can maintain it, but it also is a good reference point for everybody. And we'll probably want to sit down and make sure we're having the finance committee, get a more in-depth brief on it so you know what's going on. And,
Yep.
you don't want to get too far away from the board on some of these things. But we had the board approve the investment policy. So our constraints on what we do is very conservative, risk adverse. But I think what we should be able to know is our own cash flow needs, when cash is in, when we need it, so that things come due when it's going to be a time when we want it. Just basically what a business does. It's part of an obligation really to the taxpayers is to use what we do collect appropriately and make sure that it's working to their advantage.
So how many checking accounts are we down to?
I think we're down to 5 or 6.
Oh,
I think we just had 1 or 2 left that closed.
From 30 some.
39.
34, somewhere in there. Yeah. So we're working on that concept internally of what fund balance, working with funds is, and really you have everything. I think I know we have to have one for the license center has to have their own account. I think might be one other that we have to have, but otherwise, yes, we should really be down to one master account. We should be down. Well, we're going to always have the magic fund because that's where all the large deposits come in and where we get our most. But we'll have our local banking. Because of our local bank, we need that one for the local deposits, our investment. But otherwise, yes, every check and all the things should be running through one. Yeah, it's fund accounting where it's just divvied up in one fund and it's broke out on the balance on the account code structure.
So much more efficient.
Yes.
So just going through this a little bit more, so you can kind of understand why we haven't been able to coalesce around what a position would be. It could be anything from a budget analyst to an assistant to what have you.
Right.
Plus, we have all the other departments that we're linked to in their finance processes. And So we've got a little bit to go there, but didn't want to leave it out at this point. RFPs for banking and auditing services likely for 2026, and that would be very helpful on putting that together with us. We still should be looking at enterprise software options. I think where we sit right now, from my vantage point, it's 7 years ago now that we had gone through the RFP process, and we had one integrated software from Tyler Technologies, the Munis software, would also do HR. Well, we've kind of beefed up what we're using Kronos and UKG for HR, payroll. So our thoughts need to be around, well, do we look at something that can be integrated with that or meshed with it, or the whole picture and look at it again? Probably not the appetite to go to something that does everything, but we may want, if we do pick a software, we may want to have the ability to go to HR, payroll. So I spoke to this a lot of times. You end up with so many vendors, your system is all pieced together, and you're going to end up with this at some point as to who has to do what. You can have that even with one vendor because they're going to have different specialists that are helping you. But these are things that we have to keep in mind when we can get to them, and hopefully we get to them here at some point in the next year, because there's always other things to be done as well.
With banking, I mean, those issues are taken care of?
Yep. It seems to have settled down, yes. The exceptions are pretty minor each day. And what are coming through, it's settled.
Yeah. No, we're just having issues with the mail.
Yeah.
Because I had someone that had contacted me, and I said, well, I'm pretty sure that the banking end should be done, but they were.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, good.
So you mentioned the investment. You met our new advisor here last meeting, and we'll end up probably having more visits about what we're doing, what can be done. We need to make sure we don't have the board out of the loop on
Yep.
that. We also need to shore up written finance related policies.
Right.
I gave her what I got from Anoka County at one point. Stacy is actually mentoring with a couple of folks down at Anoka County. Gave her the book. They have it's almost an inch thick of finance policies, how you do things.
Wow.
We should have that, and we have it for personnel, but we don't have it for really our practices internally. So there's certainly a lot of work that can go into that. You got to be able to do it too. That's
Right.
the other thing. I mean, it's one thing to have a policy, but if you can't carry it out, maybe it's parts of it can be aspirational.
Yeah. And I so appreciate the communication that we've been getting the last few months. I actually feel like I really know
Where we're
what,
going.
I'm glad you said that, because I feel like I haven't had enough finance committee meetings.
well, that's true, but, but I
it's-
mean, just, overall, I mean, we've gotten more information in the last few months than we had for
Certainly a great start.
Years.
Yep.
It's the trust that
It'll get
I
there.
feel much better, knowing that it's at least being looked at. Maybe I don't understand it or need to know it and understand it as well, but knowing that it is being looked at and monitored and being, that's reassuring.
Yeah, because that's what's always bothered me because of my accounting degrees and stuff, that it's like, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, no, we'll keep working on, and probably, I think the last one, Annette did it last week, a couple weeks ago. We'll get it so that we're on a more quarterly
I
more
think it
regular
was
basis, so that
last, yeah.
it's updated. We're just some,
You gotta be able to generate the information.
we just,
to get
yeah,
the
we're still,
schedule set up,
we're
so.
Yeah,
still
and I think
struggling.
It'll come.
And I think on her report, I think she had still probably 12 checking accounts that were,
Yeah, I think.
I think it was something like that.
yeah. So, I mean, in the last couple weeks, and that you really,
Yeah, I think the last list I got, I think some more just dropped off. I feel like some more just, there's one check hanging out for a couple of them, and I feel like we've closed them. But could be
Yeah.
wrong, but I feel like we've
well,
done them.
it's no matter what, it's
We're not writing
huge
checks out of
process.
them anymore. It's just waiting for that last check to get through,
To clear.
Mhm.
to clear, so we can close it.
Yeah, good.
Next year ought to be the final year we're in the state merit system for social services positions. I think, I believe the number is $42,000 for that. It is a 2-year process to get out of merit. Nobody is going to merit. Everybody's moving away from it. We have the capabilities of meeting the threshold requirements that merit is in place for. I mean, it made sense. It's essentially a civil service component at the state level to make sure that federal, frankly, state monies are being, you're capable of managing them the way you're supposed to. I think its day has passed, and I think they know it. I've been sitting on their meetings for 2 years. I have tendered my resignation as my association's representation on that.
Well, is it the reason why it keeps going up for us is because of people moving away from it,
Well, they have
right?
to cover their costs, and
Yeah.
they cover their costs by the number of counties they have. So if you go down in counties, your share goes up.
So when we no longer use the merit system, who in that department will be responsible for?
There'll be more in human resources.
Okay.
They do some stuff related to it. There's been some things in merit that I have found have been helpful, but we for $42,000, I think we should be capable of.
Right.
Mhm.
So I know that Lisa and Karen and her staff had a meeting today on it, so they're underway. Here are the position changes. I went over this a little while ago. I would say, sometimes we talk about belly button counts. The real only actual person is this. These are just changes. These are coming in. They are new positions or an additional position in the case of this one. But we have 2 vacant positions that we haven't filled and don't have filled in the budget for next year. They're all exempt.
The finance one is the assistant, right?
We don't know it yet. We haven't decided.
Whatever the design looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs,
Throw a dart at the wall.
we'll craft it a little more. We need some payroll oversight.
Yeah.
We need somebody to be able to do more accounting, midline, higher level work so that I can focus on strategy and some other things that we need to focus on in the next year.
We're also kind of realizing
budgeting.
we're very thin in some places. Payroll being one of them.
Right.
Payroll is, yeah,
But
definitely.
we learned this when Randy Biggs passed away that there's nobody else. When we need to have better crossover backup.
Yeah. Cross training.
Yeah, and now that's a challenge when some people specialize in highways, some people specialize in solid waste, some people specialize in social services, but we do need to, we need to be able to cover if
Mhm.
not backfill,
Mhm.
certainly train so that more can do more things. And some of that means simplifying, but giving them the way to do it, which could be the software. But making sure that what we do have people doing is needed, helpful, and I would say simple to do, but
Mhm.
they can do it.
Mhm. Also, a lot of things that finance isn't doing that finance needs to be more on top of as well. So your fixed assets, grant management, overall grant management, internal control. There's just a layer in there that we aren't capturing.
Even our
And
insurance.
insurance
I
is
was
one
gonna
of
say,
them.
if you get
Yep.
the fixed assets, then you can,
Property liability insurance, but there's, yes, so there's just a whole, our leases, our invoicing, some of, there's just a whole layer in there. But there's a lot of coordinated tasks and oversight that needs to get added in that we don't have right now as well. But then also, we want to get that budget started sooner for 27, and but we need to get the audit going sooner. Audit prep work really just starts in a couple months. So there's a lot to get done
so,
in between everything.
so what is our contract with Hoffman? When does that,
I think we're
We extended it one more year. Yeah, you did a extension this last fall for 2026, 2025. They'll do the 2025 audit was the extension that you gave them.
okay, so they'll be doing the 25 audit in 26. So then we need someone for the 26 going forward.
Yeah, we should do an RFP and send it out. It's not been done for a long time, so it kind of just similar good practice. Not that you want to change auditors per se, but it doesn't hurt to just put out there what our audit services, who's out there, and just get a
Yeah. Well, and just our ability to close out things more.
sooner, act more accurate, and that is really a big piece of it. It's being able to start the process sooner though, but having cleaner books. So I think 25 will go faster. I think we'll make more changes in 26 that'll make 27 go better. But it's for me more getting more time with the account structure and the flow and pieces like that. But we really do want to start that end of the year closeout at the end of February so that we can be ahead of schedule. A lot of counties, bigger counties, start budget prep work in March. So while Questica is set up, there still is the maintenance and prepping and setting up, and we still haven't tackled the capital plan, the capital forecasting, and we really need to get to a 5-year budget. So all of those things take a lot of mental time and effort strategizing, and that's not something we have in place right now. So it's not that it's being done; we need to do it, but I need to have the time to focus on that while I have somebody else focusing on making sure payroll's running, oversight, internal control, some of those pieces, so we can get that forecast so that we can make sure that we're intentionally spending and intentionally using fund balance and that our numbers are flowing. That's a big model change.
Yeah, and I think too, a big part of it is that entities don't understand how soon we start our budgeting process. Because that's like now with AMC, why we get the due numbers out earlier, because what we were doing it before, it was, late in the process. And that's like with the MAFPA CWDA, I really pushed on them, because they were looking at like, October, November. And I'm like, no, we have to set our prelim by the end of September.
It comes up in a hurry.
Yeah, it's, we cannot go forward, that late in the year not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the state.
Well, the onus is on us to get ourselves in a position where timing is not our problem.
Right.
We're always going to, right now we spend 6 months a year on the budget anyway. I mean,
I won't say it's the hardest part of the job, it's the most cumbersome part of the job. And, you know, I sometimes am left, as I said, I think 2 weeks ago, that it's like, I can't tell you any more than I know, and here's what's we're gonna need to do to get to this number.
Right.
I can ask you a whole bunch of questions, and you can go through every department, make changes by the line, but it's where do you want to end up? Where are we going? Well, we can't always tell that the way we do things. I say that because I'd like to know where we're going. I'd like to, when I leave here, that you know where it's going. We've just been doing this in an annual fashion, not multi-years looking out. But we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I won't dwell on this here right now, but I will note that some of the fund balance use here is just because the money is there. It's like,
That's a good reason.
well, yeah, I mean, it was raised at one
Really?
point to do something,
Yes.
so it should be used.
Yes.
You know, that public health can give $500,000 to the levy, I think is significant because there's a lot more than that in the public health fund. Now, we've also used cash balance, fund balance, sometimes interchangeably, and I think we're going to be able to refine that as we go forward. And there's a couple of slides in here that she's going to talk about. But specifically, like public safety, I go into the budget knowing that they've got a decent fund balance and we're going to pay for their vehicles and the tricking out of those things. I did grab $150,000 from the general or from the public safety fund to try to offset that jail cost, and I think that the public safety fund is between these two, and knowing that there's not much you can do about this. We're going to want to spend some time on the future of that fund, where it's going relative to the other funds, and it's not a huge problem, but it's I think a little different than the other funds. It's not a management issue or anything like that. It's just their sources of revenue. They might be tighter on their budgets than maybe what we're seeing in the collective budgets of the other departments. Social services grabbed $1,350,000. That's $300,000 more than grabbed last year. Their balance is still healthy.
Right.
So that's where you end up with that 4.8 million. I also, I'm trying to make the budget work as much as anything. We have one capital improvement bond payment on the 2015 bonds. Is this the next slide? No, let me go right to that slide. Where is it? Right here. And I just said, well, tell you what, we're going to pay that out of fund balance rather than levy for it. So that would be this right here.
What is that?
The 2015 capital
2015.
improvement
Okay.
bond. These were bonds. This might have been right before you got on the board, Gary, when we did some
I think so.
remodeling at the Justice Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we moved public health in there. We moved
We cleared out that.
attorneys upstairs, and then we redid the first level for public health.
Yeah.
We were spending $50,000 a year on the BC building, so
Right. Yeah, that did not
it's
serve the
good
purpose
money
of.
to do.
Yeah. So then, a question in regards to the roof bond. You just gonna continue to pay that out, or are you gonna?
Well, specifically, that should go to. I just went away from it. Specifically, that should go to this bond.
And I know we loaded it with the interest.
Yeah. So the way we structured the bond payments there was interest only for the first 2 years, or I think first 3 years, because last year I think we had a bond payment. So what we should be doing
is of the $700,000, 156 of that would be paying that. And I think that is in my calculation that I showed you on the prior page. But with the jail bond going away and that 2015 capital improvement bond going away, then we start paying the principal on the 2022 bond. We're going to end up having two bonds to pay. The two capital improvement bonds we've done within the last 5 years. One of those will be gone in 2031. I can't remember how long this one goes out. If that's it, if there's more years beyond this, but the levying amount for bonds, goes from this $2,028,000 down to $972,000. So we're going to have some levy capacity there to basically move into. So the 2027 budget will look a little bit different. But so here's 474,000. And if I get out of this and I go into my spreadsheet, I have the breakdown. Do you want to see that? Maybe I'll do that when we get done. Anyway, everybody likes pie charts, especially this time of year. This is the expenditure breakdowns. No surprise, social services is our biggest budget. 29% of everything. Highway, essentially 24%. All the general fund departments, 18%. Public safety, which is the sheriff, 10. Tri-county, 9. Public health, 6%. Debt is 3%. Certainly that will go down next year. Planning and zoning is 1%. These don't change much as percentages over the years. Historically, this is if you stack that pie chart over the years, you can just see the overall growth of the county budget. It's been relatively flat the last 3 budgets. The blue here is general fund. That's relatively flat. Social services, you've seen some growth there. This is Tri-County, the orange, you can see that it's a little bit bigger, even though that levy increase kind of stings. That's the reality of it. We won't be showing the library on here anymore. The Laurel contribution, that's been kind of mushed into the finance department budget, but historically it's there. It's been relatively minor anyway. An insurance fund, that is actually this. Road and bridge is this. When you see this a spike like this here, we did a bond, non-levy supported bond. That's why it bumped up like that. Did multiple years worth of road projects to be paid back through the I think it's the CASA funds. On the revenue side, the levy makes up 40%, so 60% of the budget revenue is not the levy. Highway brings in $14 million, or has $14 million in its funds for projects. They behave a little bit differently in terms of saving up money, spending it. Timing matters a lot in highway. Social services, 21% of the revenue, they generate over $15 million. State and federal money, a lot of their work gets partially reimbursed. The use of reserves, I'd like to start working on getting that amount down. General fund departments do generate some revenue. Public health generates some. Little sliver right here is actually planning and zoning, very minor. Tri-county We do, because they're in our building, there's some fees that come back to Polk County. So that gets to be a little bit of an accounting rigmarole to go through, but we're gonna probably want to formalize that in writing in the next year as well. We've been talking about it for a decade, but I think with the bond payment going off, that's probably going to be of interest to the Tri-County Board. And historically, the totals are exactly the same as the expenditures. The proportions are different. We've been averaging that 3 to 3.5% levy increase as blue keeps going up. The use of reserves is probably the notable growth item here. It was relatively small and it started popping up. Some of this is because we got COVID funds. We got $6 million worth. We dished out maybe a third of that, but some of that we've kept for county projects, county programs. Road and bridges, again, it's a little bit different. It's relatively large. And social services is probably the biggest that it's been, but I don't think we're unique in that. And public health on top. So if you go back in history, here's where all these levies have been. There's the number that you've been seeing. County program aid, gross levy would be county program aid plus the levy together, over $31 million for the 2026 budget. And then if you start averaging some of that out, we've been in that 3 to 3.5, 4% levy increases. And then with the gross, if you factor in county programming as well. Yes, it is 4.5%. I do have that in most places. I just don't have it in my presentation.
Sure, I checked
I
that.
can change that. I'm not sure what got into my head there, but
No, I was sure I checked it too.
yeah. So I looked at that. Here's the overall valuation numbers. I was referred to this as part of our report to Warren. He likes the map. There's the $8.8 billion worth of value, up 3.4%. There is almost the same as last year. $32 million of new valuation, building, construction, that kind of thing, not appreciation of value. I always like to say at this point, we still have mostly the same taxpayers paying the taxes. So it's important that we have new value. That helps. That suggests some new taxpayers. Otherwise, the burden falls on the usual people.
Yeah.
So if you compare the valuation to the tax levy itself, kind of a rate, historically, if you go back, this came down meant that the county's value was growing faster than the levy. Kind of, I always say I came in right about here, starts leveling out, and 3 years ago it dropped some, and we're still kind of level. So we're kind of levy appropriate for valuation. I don't want to be careless in what I say there because we're talking about people's levies, but taxes, but it's relatively flat. Compared to other counties around us, these are the numbers that I've been given. I can't vouch for any of the other counties. Marshall is the one that always used to get brought up with Commissioner Dietrich, but they don't have the city valuations that we do up there. They've got Warren, which is very small. We've got Crooks and East Grand Forks, so that factors into that valuation number. Monoman is always the highest one, although Pennington is higher. Okay, I'm gonna give these to Stacy. She generated them, and we're gonna start seeing more of this kind of thing, I think, as we go on.
Okay, so we've kind of been talking about how we need to talk about fund balance more and focus on it. So I asked Chuck if we could put a couple slides in just to help start the dialogue. We should have a next board meeting, a fund balance policy. We still have to review it with Chuck. So Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, we have to comply with GASB statements. And they have a statement out there that was put out several years ago that requires us to have a fund balance policy. And then there's guidelines on recommended fund balance policy. The purpose really of fund balance is to make sure you don't run yourself out of money and that you don't have to borrow. Fund balance isn't cash. So fund balance really is at the end of the year, all of your revenues, expenses adjusted for accruals, what you have coming due, what is you owe, all of the adjustments at the end of the year. And then the goal is that you have a fund balance policy that says we are going to have, simple terms is to say, we want to have 3 months worth of fund balance, which means you define your expenditures, you divide it by 12, and then multiply it by 3, and whatever that number is, that's your fund balance target. Okay, so then we're going to put a fund balance target out here that says this is our goal, this is our bottom line, we can't go under this. And then anything above it, then you have as part of your fund balance, how do you want to spend what's above that? Do you want to spend it? Do you want to keep it? Kind of, I think Chuck's kind of talked about, different ways of calculating that. Or another method would be to say, we're going to take anything off the top and we're going to put it in a capital fund and we're going to start funding capital projects. So back to that capital plan and capital goal of, okay, what is a reasonable amount, and then because we don't want to just keep growing a fund balance, that doesn't do anybody any good, but we don't want to just waste the fund balance either. So, but then not only for the general fund, so inside of a fund balance, you have different types of fund balances. We have a restricted, which is restricted by law, statute. It says you can't spend it on anything but this, which that is the green part there for general revenue fund. And then there is committed, which is a soft line of the board or Chuck saying, we're going to commit this amount for this purpose. The insurance fund is like a MCIT insurance fund is kind of a committed where we could use the money for other things, but we've said we're going to put it into an insurance fund and we're going to fund our insurances that way. And then unassigned really is anything that is unassigned. It is to do however you want to spend it on. So again, I think the use here has been the unassigned has gone for capital in the past, like funding capital.
Pretty much. It started out that way. It's kind of gravitated into levy.
Yep, or using it for the levy. Yep.
But you said there's a certain amount we have to have on hand we can't touch.
Yep, and we haven't set that yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
yep,
That's gonna be another color.
That'll be event is coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So in your audit, it right now is just the fund balance policy is the template of what the state auditor's office puts out there, which is very generic. So we're going to kind of refine that a little bit more and come back to you on what that is. So that's kind of what this is just kind of showing you now. Not having the county experience, speaking to my past experience, I like this to be level. So that we're not, you see how it's going peaks and valleys, a little more level on the unassigned where we're trying to keep it consistent. So the goal is to manage those expense and revenues and intentionally either grow it or intentionally spend it down. But for me to be able to hopefully next year come to you and say, we changed our fund balance by this and these are all the things that happened and why. Kind of back to that communication and the dialogue, but really kind of collapsing it so we don't have the peaks and valleys, but more consistent, because it just shows if it's consistent or if it's grown, you're controlling it. You're intentionally managing it. If we go to the next slide, so we will have a target in here eventually that'll say, okay, are restricted, really you're restricted, you can't spend it other than what it's designed. It's really more, what do we want to do? The focus would be more like here on the auto side. Then your special revenue funds. So in your audit, your special revenue funds just simply consist of public safety, which is your sheriffs, your road and bridge fund, and your social services fund. So this one, again, going back to those different fund balance types, you have a special revenue fund, but we still should have a fund balance policy that is controlling and guiding the growth or the growth or use of fund balance for these assigned. So going back to general fund where we say, how do I go back? Where we say it's 3 months, we want to have a similar goal with your assigned fund balances. So if you look at the comparison here, this is the general revenue fund balance of 10.3 million unassigned. In comparison, when we look at social services, theirs is 8.8. That's a very healthy fund balance for when we start looking at the number of revenues and expenses. So again, similar with our public road and bridge, is just here for dialogue. A lot of this number here, to Chuck's point, is these are, funds coming in if they haven't spent for future projects. So again, back to that future project, we know why we're keeping it. But we still, even within these fund balances, we want to know what these numbers are for. We want to know what we're going to use it for. Similar with like the sheriffs, are these reasonable? That's, I guess, kind of the question is, are these fund balances reasonable and what's the policy? And then once we set that policy, we go, again, these are assigned, can be used for, they're assigned, they're just softly assigned. We're using it for the sheriff's department. If we need to use this more vehicles, again, I think that's the use of fund balance. So it's really just kind of getting the same concept of what are we going to do with, even though these are assigned, we want to control that so that all this money just isn't growing and growing and growing without purpose. And the board controls, kind of guides us. We control what we want to do with that, but we don't want to just keep growing something and without intentionally knowing where we're going with it. So same thing is 3 months acceptable? Is 2 months acceptable for assigned fund balance? It's not necessarily the same of how we would run the general fund and some of the others. But again, I think as talking to other counties, and Chuck and I have talked about it, is really having, maybe we need a capital fund or some other funds so that we're growing some of that excess money out for a highway building. A purpose. And then that money is set aside. And then instead of funding capital out of your other funds, you're funding capital out of your capital fund balance. And then your general revenue fund here is really just running your main core expenditures. Whereas you've got all your capital going through a separate fund outside of that, and you are just managing that separate. It's just a different way of managing it, a different way of looking at it, kind of thing. But we do need to have a fund balance policy. So we'll kind of come that back to you, but just wanted to kind of put it in a slide. This was from your audit. That's out there, and for future.
So between the two funds, there's 18 million bucks.
These are 3 separate funds. Yes. This is what you're talking about?
Between the special revenue funds and the general fund. Yeah, them two.
Yep.
The blue.
Yep. This blue and these 3 here. Yes. There would be almost 20 million actually. 15, yeah. So it just
That's good.
right, and you can see, it helps this perspective. Again, I think Chuck's point is kind of take road and bridge. We just debated whether we should really leave it in or not because I don't have the history as to what the big jumps are. But when you look at social services and the sheriff's fund is very consistent and constant. So they're doing a good job of staying constant. I mean, their revenues, expenditures are coming in and they pretty much have kept the same balance. They're not overspending it. They're not growing it. They're not underspending it. Whereas, and I don't have the history for social services, so I'm not picking on social services, but then it's kind of like when I look at, which actually this kind of, our general revenue fund did similar where it was up, dropped, went back up, dropped, went back up again. What I want to be able to do is come back and go, okay, why? And what is all this 10 million for? It's really important to know what the 10 million's for. And that, but then like with social services, we need to understand more what is this revenue, and that's something I just haven't had enough tenure here to kind of sit with Sherry and sit with Karen's group and go, what's the what is that 8 million broken out into? And same with Jim's group. I've not, I think this is broke out more. I know, I can see visibly what this is. And Rich's group takes care of they've got Liz over there, does a good job of managing that. But then social services, just that overall central point is while each department has their own fiscal managers, there's still the responsibility of the fiscal financial director, finance organization of managing all of the bigger pieces of everything.
But what we
Does that make
need-
sense?
Yeah, what we, I hope it does.
Does it?
Makes sense to me, but two things. Probably everything from 2022 on is influenced by COVID
Yeah.
and the ARPA monies that we got, other project specific funds that departments got. That's why I think it went back up.
I think so too.
Highway, by its nature, has to have long-term planning and has to take into account present value versus future value and what it takes to maintain. So the rest of many of our departments, I'm going to exclude solid waste because I think they're the next closest to this. We need to be more like them in terms of our planning and our cash flow practices. But it's doable. We're in a lot better shape than if these numbers were 1/10 of those numbers, and we were like, what are we going to do to get fund balance around here because we don't have any. But it is not unusual. In my county in Wisconsin, we had to start putting something together as well. And rule of thumb, in my mind, has been is a little bit of a word salad, but the basics of a policy is you use no more than half of the amount over 50% of that prior year's operating expenses as available for fund balance. That way you always have half plus a little bit more, but you don't always use that extra. So you kind of swim on this. But I also think it's very important to know that the people who paid taxes in 2020 paid taxes for what was going on in 2020, that we still have some of their funds in 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
We owe them something. Then when you go into debt and you're considering debt, you're looking at what people who aren't here yet might be paying. So it can be a little bit of a mind game as to who paid for what when, and not forget that's where this money came from, not what we're necessarily deciding up here. We're not a bank, in other words. We are managing on the side of our residents.
And then the policy with having, X number of months or whatever, that would have to change every year, correct?
No, it depends. You could do you could do a percent of expenditures. You could do a percent or number of months. The target, you would recalculate what the target for each at the end of each year is,
Right.
and then you'd put the target up there. And you would define, same with the percent. Yep, same thing. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
So you
your
would
wages
We
and
don't
stuff.
want to bounce that around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you would adjust it each year. And then you would define what expenditures you include in your calculation. There's certain ones, capital, you'd want to,
Right.
if you have a capital fund, you're not going to include your capital expenditures in those because those are not one time, but specific. They're not ongoing. Your fund balance is for your ongoing, and then there's a difference between all of those one time and needing to save for the future.
One of the issues going forward is going to have to do with Mitch's ongoing campaign for a new highway shop. And that's based on what some other counties have done, that you're looking at a $10 million investment if he gets everything he wants, or if it's some scaled back version or whatever.
Well, let's not call it his, it's yours.
Well,
Yeah.
he's the campaigner.
I think I think the timing is right. Because you're able to do it. It's not necessarily
Mm.
But the building is in such shape that you don't want to be in a position where you have to do it, and you got all these other problems going on too. You want to be able to do it. What's a good time to do it? But I do think that there's a lot of work that has to go into that, and we're not done. We do have other things to do. I mean, if we end up, we're I can't believe we're 8 years out from looking at that Tyler software, but that was over $1 million over 5 years.
Mhm.
I don't know what that amount is now, and you have no idea. It, do you use fund balance for that, which I always thought we would or should or could, or do you end up doing
an
some
option.
sort of a
Yeah, might be an option.
borrowing, something like that,
Mhm.
but we don't even know what it is.
Mhm.
But our own personnel costs, the wages are one thing. I think we're going to have to do some things there. It's the cost of the health insurance that I think we're going to have to really get a better understanding of than we have. What are our options? But that isn't just Polk County. That's everywhere.
Well, I think back to when we built the jail and the government center out there. It was a $25 million project, and 17.6 or something was bond issue for the jail. Balance 8.5. We paid for that in cash. The rest of that building. So we had stashed the money away over several years to take care of that. And I don't know if that kind of thinking works in government anymore, but
No,
it did back then, 20 years ago.
I would speak for planning and trying to not,
It's
debt costs you
uh,
to borrow.
Yeah, we refinanced those bonds
Yep,
at one
a
point
couple
too,
times.
saved quite a bit of money. So
Mhm.
at the time, it probably made more sense
Mhm.
then than it might at another time.
Mhm.
When interest rates go down, we had a real nice period of time there where
Mhm.
the money that we were borrowing, I mean, you almost couldn't not borrow it.
Mhm.
It would,
Well, you know,
the value of it would go
Mhm.
down less than $1.
the cheapest a project is now. It's not pushed down the road. So
Mhm.
But I think they always say any project, 90% of it is the planning.
mhm.
So I mean, I would like, particularly for some of us who, I'm longer in the tooth than Rich is, but certainly like to be able to use his knowledge of what,
Mhm.
goes into something rather than rely on, say, an architect.
You know,
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna have to make a lot of decisions. What do you need? What's good for this place? What are you
Mhm.
used to? What have you always wanted that you don't have? That kind of thing. And
well, a good part of that building out there now is just for storage of equipment. So it doesn't have to be overly fancy. Maybe it can be just resurrected, a new roof put on it. Save that part of it, and because, well, and at this point, there's lots of holes in that roof, but the equipment is equipment that's put out in the environment anyway, so it's not like it's being abused, so to speak.
anyway, that's the presentation for tonight.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's anything you want me to add or corrected how I got that wrong.
I don't.
But it wasn't anything that changed. So
I was pretty sure we had it then.
So we'd recess until 6 o'clock, reconvene, ask me to do the presentation. I would instruct anybody in the audience, to wait till the public hearing opens, open the public hearing after this. Take whatever questions.
For those who
Evaluation questions.
who show up for evaluations, is there gonna give it,
Yeah, set
say
out
this
in the
is a
hallway.
procedure to do that? Because I mean, it shouldn't conflict and delay those people who are really here for the budget. But
Mark Landsrick and staff will be here to
great.
talk to anybody who's questioning that part.
Are they gonna kind of set up out in the hallway?
Yes, they'll take them out of the
Yeah, so then they can
They can
do
handle
their
that
thing
while
and,
Chuck is going through his presentation, so it
Right.
doesn't get disrupted.
yeah, because that was last year at the transfer station, having them,
Yeah.
that went really well.
We have had people come in, I remember the one, a woman who, I think Michelle realized during the meeting when she was talking about her value that she had never taken homestead. So there was a
Yeah,
something that could be done right then and there. You didn't have to wait until or but whatever. That's true.
Right, well, that's, like they always ask, contact anytime. So
right,
if you have any
Mhm.
questions, to always just contact us and we'll.
right. You don't have to
Professor
wait
Webb.
until
Correct.
June
Mhm,
or
mhm.
anything.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for right now then? Okay, well then we will recess and we will be back online at 6 o'clock for our budget hearing.
Good.
Thank you.
Mhm.